It's not luck. It's not luck. Why do some people always get what they want, even their deepest desires, and other people don't? It's because the people who get what they want, they just don't give up. They just don't give up. So many people, everyone has desires, right? Everyone has desires in their heart, but the majority of people doesn't even allow themselves to claim it. They let fear stop them. They let guilt or shame stop them. They let other people's judgments stop them. So it even stops at the claiming part where you don't allow yourself to say, this is what I want. This is a big vision and I still want it. This is something that most people think is impossible, but I still want it. Because the truth is, what others think is impossible is based on their own limitations and their own projections. And you can choose whether you accept that as your reality or whether you say, no, I want a different reality for myself. I want that epic love story that I've been dreaming about, even though I've not experienced it yet, even though everyone around me tells me I should, lower my standards. Bullshit. I have that big vision. I have such a big vision. I was speaking to a friend today, and she said to me, because I shared my desires with her, and I've changed my self concept so much. I am not even remotely the person I was a few years ago, and I have manifested a pretty incredible life. I'm very fulfilled, very happy. I have created incredible friendships, incredible relationships. I love my job. That doesn't mean, things don't come with their own struggles, but I love the life that I've created. I live exactly where I want to live. Everything is so beautiful, and I know that I created that. That wasn't luck, right? I created that with my intentions, with my embodiment, with my work on my identity, on my self concept, with my work on my patterns and my belief systems and integrating my emotions and all the things that I teach my clients in Recreate Yourself as well. I practice what I preach, and I have created it, and still I am nowhere near even close to where I want to be. And that's just because my vision is so big, most people would find it scary. Most people would find it really scary how big my vision is. And I shared with a friend today what my vision is, or part of what my vision is. And she said something around her thoughts being that, well, there's also luck that plays into it. And I was sitting with it, and I just don't agree. I don't agree that it's about luck. Now, that's not to say that we're not all starting from different baselines, right? Privilege is a thing. There are people who start from a baseline that have to work harder, or that, maybe if you've had a lot of childhood trauma, of course, your belief system is going to be a bit more shaky than maybe a belief system of someone who's always had the experience of having expansive relationships and a lot of money and safety. If you have a healthy belief system to begin with, or at least somewhat healthy, there is not quite as much work to do. And if your circumstances are easier to start out with, then there's also not as much work to do. There's still work to do, but there's not as much work to do. So, yes, we start out from different baselines, but it's not luck, because you see people succeed and fail in every stage, right? You can have a pretty good baseline of what you're given in life. You can be dealt pretty amazing cards, and you can still end up bankrupt, and you can still end up in a toxic relationship. And the other way around, you can end up, or you can start with pretty much nothing and come from a really challenging background, and you can build something from that. You can create something from that. You can manifest something from that, and you can become a completely different version of yourself. The journey will be different, but don't use your current circumstances as an excuse for where you can go. Don't let that limit you. But most people let it limit you. And her assumption that it was luck really made me think. And Made me think about what my own beliefs are, and I don't believe it's luck because I don't believe in coincidences. And I see this in my life. Nothing in my life is a coincidence. The hard parts aren't a coincidence, the easy parts aren't a coincidence. But if you let other people's limitations, because other people are going to project their own limitations onto your desires, onto your vision. Sometimes that's out of love. Sometimes that's because they want to protect you. Other times it's because they don't see it as possible for themselves. And so therefore they don't see it as possible for you. That's a normal thing to do. It's not malicious for the most part, right? It's usually because, they don't have that perception. They don't have that bigness of that vision because they don't allow themselves their own visions. They stay comfortable where they are. I say comfortable, but it's actually not comfortable to be in limitation. It can be quite painful, but it's easier. It's easier to complain about your life. It's easier to settle. It's easier to say what I have is enough. And I'm not saying you should, not be grateful for what you have. Of course, gratitude is very important. And of course, who you are now and what you have now is more than enough. You don't need more, but you're allowed to want more. You're allowed to claim more. You're allowed to tell yourself, you know what? Why not me? Why shouldn't it be me that gets to share that epic love story? Why shouldn't it be me that gets to have success in life? Why not me? You get to say that. You get to say that. You get to reinvent yourself. You get to recreate yourself. See what I did there? You get to be more and have more. And I wanted to share this message to show you, to tell you, to remind you not to settle, to remind you that everything that you desire is in your heart for a reason. And it is on you whether you lean into that or whether you let your own perceived limitations, other people's perceived limitations, what society tells you, what you think is possible for you, your current self concept, whether you let that hold you back. Because at the end of the day, the people who always get what they want, they just do not give up. And they don't let other people's projections and judgments, and they don't let any of that stuff stop them, even when it gets hard, because it's going to get hard, right? Even if you, especially if you have really big desires or a really big vision like I do, and like my clients tend to do, my clients tend to not come to me for help because they want to manifest something small. They come to me for help because what they want to create in their lives is a desire that feels too massive, that is connected to a pattern that they haven't been able to break, where they've experienced repetitive circumstances again and again, and it feels too difficult to break, where they have a lot of limiting beliefs attached to it, where they have a lot of trauma possibly attached to it. That's the stuff they come to me for, right? So I always assume I always talk to you guys on this channel as if your desires are really big, because that's the work I do. You don't really need me for for small desires, for like little things. I want to help you with the big dreams, with the things that seem absolutely impossible, because they only seem impossible because you don't see yourself as the version of you who can have that, who can make it happen, who is capable of that. That's the only reason it seems impossible. But it's not impossible. You can become that version of you. You absolutely can. And if you want a starting point, if you're new to my world, for example, I have a free guide, a free self-concept mastery blueprint linked below, which includes a daily checklist so you can start applying it. And if you want to work with me, I mentioned Recreate Yourself in this video as well. You can check that out also, but you can make it happen. I want you to just remember not to give up, because the only way you're going to fail is if you stop, if you quit. And most people quit just before the finish line. They quit just before they actually get what they want, because that's when it's the hardest. That's when it's really hard, when you're this close to making it happen. So don't let that be you. If you want something, you want it for a reason. I hope you let this message empower you, you let it fuel you, you let it light a fire in you. I hope you choose not to give up and not to settle. If you're new here, please subscribe. Please like the video if you did like it. Leave a comment and let me know what your biggest desire is. and, claim the big vision. Don't play small. We're not playing small here. And then I will see you in the next video.